Good morning. Welcome to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise. Interlock your fingers. Reach to the sky. Turn at the hips and waist to peek at the heel of your opposite heel. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Touch toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See what's happening? I touch my toes, and on the upstroke, I still touch my legs and my thighs, okay? Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight to the left foot. Good Tai Chi posture, head erect. Kick your right foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, 2, 3, shift your weight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. Okay, we're going to open up our span, parallel feet. We're going to cross and we're going to sit on one side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift weight, short one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. So there we have a little short flexing and warming up exercise. Next, we're going into our feet alignment. Okay, so I'm going to turn this way so that you can follow. Okay, hands at our waist, T-stance, weight down on the right, step out on an L, turn the hips and waist, flatten down, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down on the left, that means bear down your weight, T-stance. Right foot is weightless. It's the only foot that can move. T stance, L stance. Turn the hips and waist, flatten down, bow stance, bow and arrow. Sit back, sit down on that imaginary stool. Twist step, root down on the right. T stance. Out on an L stance with the heel of the left. Turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance. Okay, so now that's the pattern for the feet. But did we keep our Tai Chi posture? So what is Tai Chi posture? Okay, do it as I describe it. Your head is straight up. It's dangling from a cable or a silver thread. Therefore, your shoulders are dropped, almost like a semi-ragdoll. Your middle finger is to the side seam of your pants. Side seam of the pants. Shoulders dropped. Your chest is sunken. It's not flat and stiff as a board, like a soldier, but there's a concaveness to the chest. With your head erect, your chest concave, your butt should be tucked under. Tucked under so that your hips are sort of flared upward with the tucking of that butt. The waist is relatively or very relaxed. So are your knees. Okay, but they're not flexed, but they're not locked in. Nothing is ever locked in joints. The knee now is relaxed, so it's ready for movement. We're thinking good thoughts. Our tongue is on our palate. Our chin is slightly dipped downwards, not parallel to the ground. Okay, and you should feel this sense of heaviness in your feet because gravity is taking care of you. The movements now in Tai Chi are driven by our mind. Our mind is active, and it instills in us the sense of relaxation, the sense of moving in a coordinated way. So whatever the mind says, the body should do. But how does our movement start? The movements are dictated by our waist. So can you do this with me? Put your hands at your waist and turn your waist. This is that movement that we're looking for in all our movements in Tai Chi. The movement of the hips and waist. Tai Chi, when you initially see a performer, you think about his or her hands, but the hands are just there, set in place. But the movement is coordinated and directed by the hips and waist. So I could have my hands any place, but as long as my hips and waist are moving, that's Tai Chi. So in other words, if my hips and waist are not moving and my hands are moving, this is not Tai Chi. So what we're looking for are movements in which our whole body, mental and physical body, can move as a unit, move all together. In moving all together, we are then doing Tai Chi in the ultimate way. But not only that, we're making the best use of our body. We're making our body very efficient. So when we make our body more efficient, we have to obey gravity. Something has to ground us. We can't just go kicking around and seeing that how can we balance. No, we have to have some organization. We're going to have some kind of plan to understand what our body can do to help us to stay safe. So what I want to do now is do Yang Ten form, but not looking for sequence. I'm not looking for a high kick, but I am looking for something that's safe where you're using the coordination of your mind and your body. So right offhand, I'm looking for shifting of weight. So in shifting of the weight, only the weightless foot can move. If only the weightless foot can move, then the other foot or opposite foot has to totally ground us, such as in commencing form. Commencing form, we're at 50-50, even distribution of weight. But once we decide to start, we have to tell our body and our mind, and through our mind, that only the weightless foot can shift. So how do we do that? So I'm going to turn this way, and whatever I say, you try to implement in your mind and then work it through your body. So we're at good Tai Chi posture. We're at 50-50, even distribution of weight. To commence, we need to shift all the weight to our right foot. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 allows us then to open. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hands rotate to the middle of the thighs as we take a deep breath in as we elevate both hands. At shoulder level, we reverse the process. We drop our shoulders, flex our knees, tuck our elbows, make ourselves small. Left hand remains in the center. Right hand rises up higher as we glance. We open the palms to the ceiling. We watch that right hand come to our ear. We turn our head and neck. We meet our hands in the middle. We slide back and push forward as if to repulse the monkey. Notice where my left hand is. It's sitting to the hip, to my waist and hip area. We're going to set up our other side now. Left hand rises higher as we glance. We open the center hand, palms up to the ceiling. We watch that back hand come to our ear as a glance, turn our head and neck, meet the hands in the middle, and we slide. Okay, I want to go over it as a drill. Center, higher, glance. Ear, turn the head and neck, meet in the center, repulse of the monkey. Okay, you drop that left hand. Center, glance, open, ear, turn, meet, slide. One more time, smooth it out. Higher, glance, ear, turn, meet, slide. Center, higher, open, glance, ear, turn your head and neck, meet, slide. T-stance. How do you get into a T-stance? T-stance. One hand higher, one hand sort of to your shoulder, not pressing against your body. Still relaxed in that marionette where we're relaxed with our shoulders dropped. When we brush our knee, what do? 3 or more things. We multitask. The backhand comes to the ear. Let's warm that up. It just moves this way, using your core, not your upper hand or wrist. The other thing that happens as the left hand drops down, 2 things happen. Ear and hand, ear and hand. 3 things happen. Ear, hand, and heel. How? Ear, hand, heel. Again. Ear, hand, heel. From a T stance, we're getting into an L stance, and then we have to do something with a bow stance. The upper body matches the bottom, or vice versa. So how can we do 3 things happening together in a coordinated 1-unit way? Ear, hand, heel. Here we go. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist to brush your knee. Sit back, sit down on that imaginary stool, twist step with your left heel, T stance with your feet, setting it up correctly. We're going to brush our knee. What happens first? Or what can we do to warm up? The top hand comes to our ear. How? Top hand comes to the ear. One more time. What's the second thing that happens? The right hand comes down. It drops down. How? From the shoulder, it drops down. From the shoulder, it drops down. 2 things happen. Ear and hand. Ear and hand. One more time. Ear and hand. 3 things happen. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Set it up correctly. This is a drill. 3 things happen. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Set it up correctly. Left hand higher, right hand to your shoulder. 3 things happen. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step, hold your ball on a T stance. Where's your weight? Weight should be on your right. Left toe should be carrying maybe 1-2% of your weight, okay? All right, take a rest. All right, this is what you did on a forward position, okay? So I'm gonna do 3 movements that we just covered. I'm in good Tai Chi posture. My shoulders are dropped. My chin is slightly down, not straight to the parallel to the ground, but slightly dipped down. My glance is way out into infinity. I'm ready to start with 50-50. I think through, how am I going to commence? I shift my weight to the right to create 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And I come down on a 50-50. My hands rotate to the middle of the thighs. I take a deep breath in as I elevate. At shoulder level, I make myself small. I drop my shoulders, I flex my knees, I tuck my elbows down. My left hand stays in the center. My right hand rises up higher. Okay, and I open the center or left hand to the ceiling. So the thing is, I'm catching a ball from the ceiling. I can't catch a ball from the ceiling with my center or left hand palms down, okay? So in this way, I'm centering myself. I'm putting my energy to compact and in balance, not to the left, not to the right, but in the center of your body. Whereas the right hand now rises up. When I say glance at the back hand, I don't mean for you to go this way. So the hand is never this way, but the hand is sorta to the side, maybe slightly further back, and you can see it. Not down, not super high, but maybe about forehead high. As I glance, I bring that back hand to my ear. I turn my head and neck. I meet the hands in the middle. That gives me the ticket, so to speak, to slide, as if to repulse the monkey. So how do we do that? Here, ear as you glance, turn the head and neck, meet the hands, then pull back, push forward at the same time. Center, higher, glance, open the front to the ceiling, so the palms is up. Glance and look at the left hand. Turn the head and neck, meet in the center, and slide. Weight heavily on the 2 feet. Again, center, higher, glance, open, ear, turn, meet, push, forward, pull back. Center, higher, glance, open that right hand, bring it to the ear, turn the head and neck, meet in the center, slide. T-stance. Set it up correctly. Left hand towards your shoulder, right hand up higher. We're going to multitask. Ear, hand, and heel. How? Ear, hand, heel, all together. Ear, heel, hand. Turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down on that imaginary stool, twist, step. T-stance, set it up correctly. Multitask. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Then ask yourself, are you in good Tai Chi posture? Is your knee not beyond your toe? Is your left or back knee not locked, but straight as an arrow? Then you can sit back and you can sit down on that imaginary stool to gain your weight so that you can alleviate the weight of the front foot to twist or pivot. Root down for safety and gravity. T-stance, set up your hands correctly. Glance at the back hand, all together. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. So the right hand now should be sort of centering you, not to the side now, okay? Sit back, sit down, twist step, set it up correctly, all together. Ear, hand comes down, heel comes out. Turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. We're going to move on, sit back, sit down, twist step, hold your ball on a T stance. At this point, no tension, everything relaxed. Weighted on the right. Insubstantial foot on the left is going to come out on an L. The pattern is T, L, bow. We're going to part the wild horse's mane. The bottom hand advances, so we know that the left hand is on the bottom, the left foot is the insubstantial, therefore we're holding our ball correctly. Here we go, T stance, take an L stance, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance holding your ball, right foot is insubstantial, right hand is on the bottom. Step out on an L, bottom hand advances as you turn your hips and waist, go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, bottom hand advances, turn the hips and waist, power that movement to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step. Hold your ball on a T stance. Okay, so very good. Okay, so as you can see, there's some organization, there's some plan, there's some rhyme or reason to how we move. But you also have figured out that if your hands, your neck, your upper body is set up correctly, the movements in Tai Chi are mind-driven through the hips and waist. If the hips and waist don't do anything, then the Tai Chi movements are not true, okay, are not true to form. Oftentimes I use the image of the hands holding a ball. So what do I mean by that? Or catching a ball. So when you part the wild horse's mane, everybody's saying, well, we can part it really well because all we have to do is make sure that the forward hand is flares out. But that's really not true because in Tai Chi we're trying to use our body in the most efficient way. So if something comes out, something has to stay back to counterbalance or to keep your balance or keep your posture erect. So we're going to look at, to me, both of them are dominant hands, or both are working together in coordination. So when one hand comes out, the other hand sits to the side of your body, sits to the side. Can't sit in the front, it has to sit to the side, as if it were holding a ball to the side of your hip. So over time, the hands will become soft, but maybe right now in the beginning, it's sweaty and it's pretty stiff. But as long as you know that the hand sits to the side rather than sits here, it sits to the side, then you have a little counterbalance, okay? So what I teach you is very, I want to say very basic, very elementary. But we're stable, so I have the advantage of showing you a stance and saying, this is where it specifically sits, or what it specifically does. But Tai Chi being a dance, okay, being a dance and a meditative dance in motion, not all the time will you see it exactly where your teacher taught you it should be. But for our purposes, since I believe we're not all going to be performers, we need to know specifics. But once you're in motion, you have that liberty to wiggle a little bit. Okay, but basically, if you learn posture and alignment quite well, then that will lead into the next part of your journey where you're more relaxed and things flow a little bit, flow a little bit easily. Okay, so we said that to part the wild horse's mane, I would have to step out and I would have to turn my hips and waist, and the other hand sits to the side as if it were holding a ball. If I'm this way, I come out, I turn my hips and waist, I center myself, and the ball is still held here as a counterbalance. What I try to also say is that when you part the wild horse's mane, you end up pretty much in the center of your body rather than short of the center or way off to the side. So can you see that if I did this or did this, I'm more apt to be in imbalance. So we always are looking for centering. We're also looking for balance, okay? In multitasking, it's not easy, but once you get it, you say, wow, you know, it's a big accomplishment, and it is, because I don't know of anything in our regular normal activities that we're multitasking in that formation. But those are only 3 things, but really there's much, much more going on. Your mind is active. You know, every little muscle is in concert with that movement. So that in itself is telling me that there are a lot of hidden suggestions or experiences that we have to uncover when we learn something like Tai Chi. And it's not going to come in a few minutes, but it's going to come over time with better understanding and better conditioning and better flow of energy. So that's why it's a lifelong journey. It's not something where if you took a 5-week course that you'd be proficient. Okay? All right. So any questions now? So I kind of glanced at you and it looked pretty good, okay? And I know that you're here because you're our beginners, and that's very good. So I just want to remind you and share with you the premise in which you need to come out a little bit more, okay? And over time, your body will adapt to it. But as long as you know that if this is a T stance, the L stance does not come straight out, but it takes a out and to the side. It takes a out and to the side. It does not come just out. And the premise is, if you have a T and you have an L, you need the hips and waist movement, a span in which to turn. Okay, listen to that again. This is a T and this is an L correctly. Why do you need the foot or the heel out here? Because the hips and waist then have to have that room to turn to get into a bow stance. If you did not understand that and you said, this is a T and this is an L, you have no room to turn. You're going to put pressure on your knees, you're going to pressure on your joints, your hips and waist. You're not going to do Tai Chi. So therefore, you need to be very disciplined in your feet alignment. Once you are clear with it, the body just flows. The body just flows. All you need to do is say, I need to set up my upper body. If I know this is a T stance and this is an L stance, I set up my body, I turn, I do very little with my hands getting into the final position because the energy just takes me there. Okay, and this is one example of what I'm trying to promote, but in all of all movements, you can see that if we set it up correctly, the hands will get to where we want it to be through the movement of the hips and waist, okay? What's important is that what are the elements that we need to promote the hips and waist moving and making our movement the way we should? If we're attending to or trying to move our internal energy or chi, we have to build our body or set our body up so that there can be movement. If 2 feet are weighted, the energy is equal. Therefore, we can't really walk, we can really stumble. Insubstantial foot is the only foot that can move. If it's the only weightless foot, the other foot has to hold all your body weight, all your body weight. Therefore, the element, or Yang Chen Fu's principle to say 10 essentials, the essential element is that only the weightless foot can move. Therefore, you need to create a substantial foot holding the weight. Then you can safely advance. Once you have sort of a even distribution of weight, then you have to then create a weightless foot. How do you create a weightless foot? I don't know how. You have to move and create and sit back and sit down because the body weight is here. Then this foot can twist or pivot. Then this foot now takes its turn. It sinks down. It's grounded to allow this foot to come in. So on and so forth. It's easy to understand, but a little bit more difficult, like everything, to then get your body to do. Once you feel this groundedness or this heaviness in your body, then you can move. That's your energy stored. So once your energy is stored, you then want to distribute it. Distribute it, but in a way that helps, where the upper body helps that lower body to move, okay? All right, let's try from the beginning now, okay? This time, your job is to make sure you have insubstantial, substantial, clearly defined. 2, make sure that you're setting it up correctly so that your hips and waist can move in a flowing way, okay? Now, well, let's not say flowing way, in a most efficient way. We're not looking so much for pizzazz, but we're looking for internal movement that helps us to flow, okay? All right, good Tai Chi posture, dropping the shoulders, head erect, chin slightly down, glance way ahead, tongue on our palate, chest dipped inwards, butt tucked in, knees relaxed, waist relaxed. Good thoughts. 50-50. Commencing form. Shift weight to the right, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, open, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hands rotate to the middle of the thighs. Take a deep breath in as we elevate. Both hands to shoulder level. Reverse the process. Drop your shoulders, tuck your elbows, flex your knees. Make yourself small. Repulse the monkey. Left hand in the center, right hand up higher. Open the left hand to the ceiling, actually both hands. Glance at the back hand, bring it to the ear. Turn the head and neck, meet the hands in the middle, slide forward, push back. Center, look at the left hand that's higher, open to the ceiling. Bring it to the ear. Turn the head and neck, meet the hands in the middle as you repulse the monkey all the way to the hip. T stance. Set it up correctly. Right hand higher, left hand to your shoulder. we're going to multitask. Let's warm it up first. The top hand comes to the ear. Top hand comes to the ear. Two things happen. Left hand comes down. Left hand comes down. Three things happen. Here we go. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down to store that energy. Twist, step. Root down, set it up correctly. All together. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Let's do that again. Sit back, sit down. Twist, step. Right hand higher, glancing at it. Three things happen. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist, step. T stance. L stance. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. One more. T stance. All together. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. What? Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Easy one now. Hold your ball on a T stance. We're going to part the wild horse's mane. Step out. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. L stance. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance. Hold your ball, center yourself, store that energy. Step out on an L, turn the hips and waist. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. T stance, center your ball. Move that energy in the center. Step out on an L, turn the hips and waist. All together, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. We're going to mix and match. We're going to brush your knee. How? Right hand higher, left hand to your shoulder. What do? All together, multitask. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Left hand higher, right hand to your shoulder, T. Multitask. Ear, hand, and heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Twist step. Hold your ball on a T. Part the wild horse's mane. Step out. Bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back. Sit down, twist step, center with a ball on a T, step out on an L, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, we're going to brush your knee. Set it up correctly, ear, hand, and heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back. Sit down, twist, step, left hand higher, right hand to the shoulder, T stance. Step out on an L, move that bottom and top to brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, hold your ball on a T stance. What are you gonna do? Step out to part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, bow stance. Flip the forward hand, join it with the back hand. What are we going to do? Cloud hands. Sit back, sit down, twist step, pivot out to the 9, flip the hands, close the feet. Use your hips and waists. Flip the hands open. But at 9 o'clock, you only flip. 12 o'clock, you're centered. 3 o'clock, 2 things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. Use your hips and waists to get out to the clock. Out. But we have to complete cloud hands. What do? We shift our weight to the left foot. Bring the left hand down, bring the right foot and hand up, golden cockerel. Down, shift the weight to the right, up, golden cockerel. Down, 50-50, gather the energy, right hand on the outside, kick out, right, down, left hand on the outside, left foot coming up, kick out, left, holding our ball on a T stance. What are we going to do? We're going to ward off. Step out on an L, bottom hand advances to forearm your opponent. Turn your hips and waists, reposition your hands, sit down, sit back, look back, turn at the hips and waists. Contact, turn at the hips and waist center of the body, push that energy through. Separate and roll back and sit down. Why? To gather the energy, store the energy. Now unleash it, come up and lunge forward. Sit back, sit down. Twist step the other side, make it balanced, make it symmetrical. Hold your hand, hold your ball. Step out on an L, bottom hand, forearms your opponent. Turn the hips and waists, reposition your hands. Drag that opponent down as if to grasp the bird's tail. Look back. Turn at the hips and waists, contact. Turn a little bit more then, push the energy out. Separate the hands and roll back and sit down. Spiral up and lunge forward. Okay, apparently closing now. We're in a bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot in, pivot out, top and bottom match, pivot in, embrace the tiger, right hand on the inside of the cross. Right hand is on the inside of the cross, but your palms are towards your body. Weight on the left, you're gonna shift that weight over. You're gonna rotate on your wrist, so now the palms are facing you. Bring a tiger closer to you, at your chest level. Bring him closer to you. With that momentum, you're gonna push him out. Separate, shoulder width away. Drop your shoulders, flex your knees, make yourself small, wrap around. As you now close your form. Okay, so one of the characteristics of Yang style is the positioning of the hands. It's often referred to as wearing a mitten. So you don't want to wear a glove, but you want to wear a mitten in a loose way. Doesn't have to be like that, okay? But in a loose way. So whenever you do your movements, there should be a separation of the thumb away from the other fingers. That's all it means, but that is a characteristic. Okay? All right. So actually, we've covered a lot, okay? And what I want you to do for homework, or to really zero in on, is make sure that you're aware of your feet alignment. This time, hands at our waist. Good Tai Chi posture, so dropping that shoulder. making yourself small, just sinking, okay? Using all that energy and just relaxing, okay? To get into a T step, we're going to have to weight down on the right. So we're going to shift the weight to the right, 60, 70, 80, 90, and turn that left foot like this. This is the capital letter T. Stay sinking down, still sinking down, and making sure that that right foot has this really heavy weight of ours, okay? T stance. To make an L, we're going to have to come out and to the side. This time, you use your hand. What does it mean to come out and to the side? Show me with your hand. It means out and to the side. Are you using your hand to show me? Come out and to the side. But we have to do it in one motion on our heel. So that means heel. It means here. It means here in one motion. How? Here. How again? Here. It took an out and to the side in one motion. Therefore, our foot can do the same. Let's try it. T stance. Now we need to think it through. What is out and to the side? Here we go. Left foot is insubstantial. It can take one step out and to the side. Now what are you going to do? You're going to turn your hips and waist to get into a bow stance. Turn your hips and waist and get into a bow stance. The knee not beyond your toe. The bow in the front, the arrow in the back. The arrow, the knee of the arrow is not locked, however, it's not dipped. It's holding you erect in that same formation of good Tai Chi posture. We can't move because we have two weighted feet. We need to create an insubstantial. How do you do that? You sit back and you sit down. If you only sit back, you still have weight on that front foot. Therefore, you sit back and you sit down so that the front foot only has a heel. The weight is only on the heel, if any. In good Tai Chi posture, that heel has no weight. Someone can come by and lift it up. To store that energy now allows the front foot to be weightless. Therefore, it can twist in or pivot. As it does that, it gains the weight, and it is now the weighted or substantial foot, whereas the right can now be the T, the stem of the capital letter T. It's now going to be the insubstantial, and it now can move. From a T stance, we're going to come out into a side on a heel. What? How do you direct your movement? Turn the hips and waist, flatten down, flatten the front, adjust the back to a 45-degree, knee not beyond the toe. And your body, your spine is straight up. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down or ground down to create a grounded, substantial for a T stance. Come out on an L, turn the hips and waist, flatten down, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, and then I'm going to turn and watch. Just do the best you can, it's fine. T stance, okay? T stance. Step out on an L, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance, L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance. Okay, Okay, for the most part, very good. You've laid a platform in which you can build, okay? I'm not saying it's 100%, but let's see, how can I show you something? So let's use this last part of the lesson to say these are things that we should avoid, or we shouldn't look like what I'm going to show you, okay? So we know that Tai Chi is a discipline. It's an art. It has rules. If you follow the rules the best you can, you will gain tranquility. You will use your body in the most efficient way. So that is really ideal, okay? That's what we're gearing ourselves for. So if we know that Tai Chi posture is important, we have to maintain Tai Chi posture throughout doing Tai Chi. If we know that alignment helps our Tai Chi posture and helps the flow of energy, then we have to be, there again, strict with ourselves. So no matter what formation we end up with, we should still have Tai Chi posture, and we should still have good alignment of the spine, then to create more energy to move on to more steps. But once we don't have that ideal situation, we are then teaching our body something wrong every time we do it. So, you know, that kind of scares everybody, like, oh, you know, I came out to learn an exercise and to relax. But in the process of learning the discipline, relaxation will come, okay? And to know it, yeah, today, like you maybe say you picked up something new, but later on when you come back, you say, hey, I thought I was doing it right, but there's something more. That's the nature of Tai Chi. Once you learn something, you think you've mastered it, there's yet more to learn, and that makes it more relaxful for you. Okay, so I'm going to do it, and you're not going to do it because it's going to be wrong, okay? So this is a T, and if I'm standing like this is not a T, because this is not going to let me know which foot can move. But if I'm stored and I'm substantially grounded, I know that this weightless foot can come out, okay? But once it comes out, the energy is stored here. Why do I want to transfer that energy once I put it here? Because I want to keep it here so that I can use my hips and waist and move that energy to come this way. This is not really a 50-50, but for our purposes, we'll just say 50-50, okay? But what we don't want to do, and this is wrong, is we want to get out of Tai Chi posture. See what happened? I threw my back straight. My curvature of my chest is no longer dipped. What I want to do is come out and keep the posture and make sure that the spine is just erect. But once I decide that I'm doing something with my feet, therefore I should stiffen up my back, that's gone, it's gone, okay? So if you can keep your posture and move, you have that much more coordination. It's connected, whereas now it's disconnected. The energy took you there, but then you stiffened this all up. It's no use, it's counterproductive, okay? So T, stance, L, stand, turn the hips and waist, soften your movement, sink down. Watch again, sit back, sit down. You don't want to sit back and throw your back back because you will go down. You want to use this motion. You want to use this motion. Then you twist, you root down, create a T, step out, turn the hips and waist, stay erect. Do not lift this back foot up. That would create a fall. But sometimes we're not aware of it coming up, but you want your feet firm, okay? Not firm so that you have to squish yourself down, but solid. Sit back, sit down. The more I can sit down and store my energy, the better then I can distribute the energy. But once my energy is insufficiently stored, I then do something wrong because the weight and the energy is not helping me with the flow. When I come this way and I come here, I then sink. I sink. Then I say to myself, well, I can't move if I have two feet that are grounded. Then I have to then roll back and sit down. Roll back and sit down. Can we try roll back and sit down, okay? Let's get you there first. T stance, L stance, bow stance, okay? So we first, before we can sit back and sit down, we have to ask ourselves about our posture. Okay, easy one, knee not beyond the toe. Back foot like an arrow, but not locked in. All right, and we have our hands at our waist. All I'm asking now is to sit back, sit down. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to think it through. We know that our spine should not be tilted backwards, but we know that there's an imaginary stool, and we're going to sit down on it. From a bow stance like this, we're going to roll back, lift that front foot toe up, and sit down. How? Go back into a bow stance, roll back, sit down. Another time, bow stance. Sit back, sit down. One more time. Sit back, sit down. You sink down. All right? Now, let's look at sensations. What do you feel when you're in a bow stance, and what more do you feel when you're in a sit back, sit down? Okay? Here, we're in a bow stance. We're going to move, sit back, sit down, and keep that stance. What are you finding out? That right foot is heavy. The whole leg is heavy. The left foot is kind of weightless, but there is weight because we're holding our stance. Okay, so if I kept you here a long time, you would say, wow, this really is painful. So let's relax and release that energy. But you want to get to that point and say, am I fully sitting down, and am I fully sitting back? And can I safely move the pivoted weightless foot? Okay, you're in a bow stance. So the back foot is sort of a 45 degree. The left foot or front foot has to be straight. If it's straight, the hips and waist have to address that forward foot. The hips and waist cannot stay to the right or severely to the left. It has to sort of be in line with that forward foot. This is the best posture, okay? Remember to address your spine. The spine should be straight up, but not to the point where you're flaring your shoulders back to say, look, I'm straight up. It still has a rounded curvature of your shoulder, all right? Now, if we're in this ideal position, we can now roll back and sit down on that imaginary stool. Then you say, wow, my weight is now down on my right. I feel that I am sitting on that chair. Then it allows us to twist in, root down, then move this foot over to a T. Come out into the side, turn the hips and waist, move the energy, release that energy, distribute it. Good Tai Chi posture. Okay, sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, T stance, L stance. Turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, T stance, L stance, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, twist step, T stance. Okay, so this is what you should practice first, okay? Then once you feel that you've got a grip on it, then you put your hands. Just take part the wild horse's mane. But once you feel that something's giving way in the feet, just drop everything and just do the feet. It's going to be a natural thing where you're going to lose your Tai Chi posture because you're thinking about what are my hands are going to be doing. I think you're all doing well. I don't think you should create pressure, any more pressure than we need to. We're on our journey, and the journey starts. And you savor everything you know, or what your body can learn from what you see or hear, and it just grows on you. And it's not how quickly you can get to your goal. It's the in-between stuff that is our goal, that is our relaxation. It is our journey to be enjoyed. And although I teach in a voice that's pretty heavy duty, I don't mean it to be that way. I don't mean it to be, stressful and pressure provoking, but that's a way of teaching. So it's not easy, and a challenge is good at this time, I think. A challenge is really good. And whatever little you can inch into will give you a lot of satisfaction, okay? That's really good job for all of you, okay? We'll see you next time. Okay, good job.